Right people, fueled up, ready to go. And I normally take creatine slightly kind of straight before gym. What it is I know that I'm going to put most of the water in my system for a consistent period of time. So through that hour, just sheer due to the training itself, you just need more water even though you're hydrated. So it's a perfect time for me to take it. Hi guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. And yeah, so this week is all about getting back to the roots of my bodybuilding training. I recently realized with squats especially, like for the last, since a long time, I mean since I started implementing progressive overload, let's say about a year or so, maybe more, I've been training in a way where I used to have at least 10-15 seconds of rest between each rep basically. So my sets, they were timed in terms of like the rest. So it was about a couple of minutes, 2, 3, sometimes 4 minutes, depending on how much it took out of me. And with squats or any sort of leg movement, the case was that it took a lot out of me. So I'd basically hold my rep there. So I'd do the rep and need good 10-15 minutes because it was such a grind to get the rep in. And to the point where I realized, you know what, my biggest weakness in my physique right now, obviously everything needs work, but the biggest weakness for me was my quads. And I was thinking, I'm pushing a lot of weight. I do a solid 5-6 reps on the squats, and basically it came down to the fact that I was pushing with too much intensity. Now that can sound a bit weird because you're thinking obviously training intensity is good, and obviously I did adjust my volume accordingly, but the issue is that if you're not training in terms of, let's give you an example of a bench press. Okay, it's more common where, let's say you're doing a bench press, obviously you do a rep, you hold, you breathe. But imagine you do a rep on even a machine press or anything, or a leg extension, you do a rep and you sit for a good 10-15 seconds. And then you do, granted squats is a big movement. Same with deadlift. I mean, imagine you do a rep and sort of stood there sort of having to catch your breath before you can even do another one. So in my case, if I did the rep and I did it again, I would have most likely just basically not been able to do it. So long story short, essentially I've had this whole session was about standardizing the form once again. And yeah, so with squats, what happened was the weight I thought I should be doing, and I bumped the reps up as well, because I thought another issue was me training into the 3 to 5 rep range maybe for squats or legs isn't ideal for me, because I do need like more reps to mitigate that fatigue and intensity. So what I did was I ramped it up to 8 reps. I said that's fantastic, and then I obviously overestimated the exercise and I ended up having to cut the set purely because my cardio ran out, and also I probably could have done another 10 more and it just wouldn't have been of any value. So I did fix that on the second set. Unfortunately didn't have that on video for recording. Yeah, and also overall food wise, my food volume has been pushed up quite a bit. Actually I'm on about 2,500 calories, and I've noticed there's, apart from the muscle gain, the progressive overload in the gym that I am experiencing, which is amazing. Physique changes I can't comment on just yet. It's not been that long. My weight's the same. It's the same, and today I actually weighed in on an average of 0.3 kilos less this week. So maybe the food will be pushed further on, but so far I'm enjoying this where I've got flexibility of being able to eat more food. So I'm eating still clean foods because I've been a victim in the past of having that mental know-how that, you know what, I've got more calories to eat, and then I would just basically end up having some days where I'd binge. So I'm so far doing so good, good so far, and it's been amazing. Yeah, and then going forward, what I'm looking at now is just to keep standardizing the form and make sure to get stronger on the squats, and then give myself a chance where I'm doing the squats and where I'm just sort of pushing a rep and then standardizing the rep time, the rest between the reps, sorry. So as you saw in the squats, I'm just sort of doing the rep, breathe out, breathe in, hold, rep again, breathe out, breathe in. So I've got a system going on, and if that's failure, that's failure. I think for the last 2-3 reps, maybe you can just sort of give yourself a bit extra time just so you can make sure. But I'm just not I wasn't accumulating the fatigue that I needed to, that I felt like to complete a set. I could just literally do a rep, and it was so difficult that I'd need a good 30-40 seconds. Going back to that again. And still the walks are still on. I think I bumped the steps up actually slightly. So I was doing about 6, 7, 8k steps. I'm averaging around 10k now, just to keep myself a bit more active. And it can easily get where you're bulking, and I've had it in the past where I've had to sort of scale back a little bit, because what's happened is then you just sort of, because you're in the mindset of bulking, you sort of stop doing things that are really important or that got you in the shape in the first place. So I'm making sure my steps are still at a decent level, and I'm just consistently keeping the routine, just bumping the food up, and just thinking more about it as a mass gaining phase or a pure muscle gaining phase as much as possible. We all know obviously you accumulate fat, but if I give myself that freedom saying I'm going to be able to gain this much fat anyway, so and then you lose control. So it's more about discipline in my case at the moment. So yeah, I'm planning to spend at least a year in this off season. Ideally, obviously, when I did lean down, I did realize obviously I haven't got shredded abs. I'm not fully lean to the point where you can be on stage, for example. However, in my case, I just need more muscle on the frame. And for me to do that, I just need to forget about the fact that, you know what, I'm lean enough. I don't need abs to validate that at the moment. I just need to be able to put the work in and gain enough muscle mass where from then when I cut, I have something there to show. Okay, so for me, I'm going to try and spend as much time as possible in this off season. I've had a few bulks in the past that failed. We've documented it, spoken about it. Now this time, obviously, at this stage where I'm normally let's say a month in, I've already sort of blown it already in a way where my habits for food, the steps, the training is not at this level that it has been this year so far. Looking to carry that momentum on, and thank you so much if you enjoyed this style of video today, and hopefully your guys' training is going well and your day is going really well. If you can consider liking, subscribing and sharing this video and leaving a comment if possible, and catch you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Peace out.